Thank you, Dee. Uh, Thank you. I'd like to start by, paying my respect and gratitude to the Laricare people who have welcomed us so warmly. And I don't know if Auntie B is around? No? Uh, we felt so warmly welcome. And I come from Darugland, from Blacktown in Western Sydney. Anyone from Western Sydney? Anyway, we have Uncle Wes. We turned 100 last year. And to commemorate his 100 years of living in this wonderful land in Blacktown, in Mount Druitt, he's released a book. And he always says, along with Uncle Wes and Uncle Greg, two of our most revered elders in Blacktown, they always tell us, welcome to the circle. And I think Auntie B said that very well, and I feel so much welcome to the circle, so thank you. What we have heard over the last few days, and I've been hearing this in every welcome, every time elders speak, they'll say, be kind to Mother Nature, be kind to Earth, Mother Earth, and be kind to, fellow human beings. Now, if we are just listening to that and doing that, how wonderful this world would be. I think it's really important that we actually listen and practice that as well. So I'm just getting that message over and over again. And if we are just, and this book is all about that. Just being kind to Mother Nature, being kind to, Mother Earth, and being kind to fellow human beings. Because sometimes we tend to have these boundaries around us and create us and others, and that makes our life very, very difficult. And having, as Dee said, we've gone through a lot of challenges, yes, but I think, if we sort of embrace, I just met Caroline. Are you there? I signed a book for Caroline, yes, you're there. Now, Caroline is my sister from today. Now, once you embrace somebody, it's impossible to harm or do or talk anything bad about that person. So if we just, embrace, as we have heard from elders, to be kind to each other, I think this world would be a better place. Just to come back to the book, perhaps, rather than talking, I think it was Fiona who said, are you reading something from the book? So I thought I'll quickly read one sentence. Is that okay?
Yes, oh yeah. I think I suggested it before Fiona.
Oh, sorry. Fiona, you are the second one to suggest that.
Go for it.
One morning in April 1992, I got into a car, left my wife and daughter, and fled my beloved Bhutan. I became a refugee. I was not the most oppressed. Others had it much worse than me. Yet, I was forced to make agonizing decisions. Who would abandon his wife and child? I lived in a state of confusion, guilt, and self-doubt, having to feel my way along a dark path towards a life I believed should be possible, but had no map to find it. I lost my possessions, my salary, my status, my career, and my country. And in that fall, I gained everything. And this is what I've gained. I have this wonderful opportunity to stand before you all, to be part of this, wonderful human beings, and spread love, that message of love, and, well wishes to everyone. So this book is all about my journey from having been born and brought up in Bhutan, which was then the poorest country in the world. I grew up in a village where we didn't have running water, no electricity, no telephones. We didn't have a road. We had to walk, to go to my nearest high school, we had to walk the whole day. So I grew up in that environment, but I was very fortunate to have good education. And I went on to become, third senior most telecom engineer in the country, and life was just beautiful. But overnight, We lost all that, as I just read. My father, elderly father, was put in prison, tortured very badly. My brother, did the same thing, and many others from the village were put in prison, tortured. And as the government carried out an ethnic cleansing policy, 1/7 of the country's population were made refugees. And then I had to flee the country and, spend the next 6 years in Nepal. When I became a refugee, we all thought that we lost everything. But we hadn't lost the capacity to love and care for each other. We could look after each other. The doctors and nurses started caring for the elders, the children and the sick. And we even started tree schools. People wanted to send their children to schools. And we didn't have a hut or a building to, send children to school. So we said, okay, some of the teachers were so, motivated and inspiring. They said, okay, I'll start my class under that tree because it was very hot there. So somebody else said, I'll start my class under that tree. So we started something called tree schools. And 3 months ago, I had a visitor from England. And he's a practicing doctor now. He came with 2 children. And he started school under those trees. So we can... Thank you. And what I found was if we could create, doctors and engineers and, technicians, carpenters from those tree schools, I think we are living in what I call heaven because, this is really heaven from, what I came through. And having spent 6 years in that refugee camp, helping set up schools and hospitals, working, to get children back into school, I was a little crazy. And, after 5 years, I started thinking, we need to look at alternatives. My daughter's growing, my parents are, growing older. I need to, as a father, I need to take care of my daughter. I need to take care of my parents. And then I was a little crazy and, thought of doing an MBA and somehow managed to come to Australia and, I start a new life when my wife and daughter were able to join after 3 years. And then I thought, it's my responsibility to do something for refugees and refugee settlement because I was, very lucky to be settling in this country. So I put myself, 10 years ago, I left my job at Telstra. It was a very well-paid job. It was the best job in the world. I loved doing that. But my heart was back in the community, so I left that job and asked my wife if I could, volunteer for a year, and that extended to 2 years, and then 3 years. Then I knew I was running out of generosity, so I set up my own practice. So I run my own Dhungel consulting now, operate on a 50-50 model. So I operate, 50% of the time for money, and then the rest I volunteer in the community. And in that process, I was able to sort of work with other fellow, friends, and we have developed a bottom-up, strength-based model for refugee settlement. And this book also captures that, and it captures my journey from moving from a corporate world to the community. And I was living in 2 different worlds. I used to work in the city at Telstra in a corporate environment, but I used to come back home in Blacktown, where Blacktown is a wonderful city. It has a population of 400,000 people, and we have people from 188 different countries. How beautiful is that? When I was a child, I wanted to, work for the United Nations. And this is United Nations for me because, you just go out there and you meet people from South Sudan to Afghanistan to wherever you call it, people from 188 different countries. And we speak 182 languages. How rich is that? And thanks for sharing that, Jason. He shared a story yesterday. The true Blacktown, 2 Mount Druids. A lot of people have, different perception about those places. But yesterday, there was a, message in the Facebook page where, somebody was, sick on the street, I think. Mm-hmm. And, people just gathered together, took that person to the hospital and, saved the life. So we have people with good heart. A place becomes good with people with a good heart. And I think we are in a place where people have good heart, and I feel very privileged to be living in a place called Blacktown. So this is the story that we have in the book, and I've also got my own story, my own family coming together. I lived again, away from my wife and daughter, but for with some blessings, they were able to join me for my graduation, like just 2 days before my graduation, I heard that, they got a visa, so they were able to join me. And then now, my daughter, we just had one daughter, only child. She's married now. She lives very next to us. And yeah, hopefully looking forward to be grandparents now. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And sorry, just a couple of things from me to wrap up. One is how Om said he would volunteer his time. He would get to know everyone. I think probably in Blacktown, everyone knows Om. And I said to Michelle when we first got a hold of the book, and I said, look, Michelle, look, here's Om's book. And she said, oh, that's really cool, that's really cool. And I said, no, look closer, Michelle. Look here. And there's this quote from our Prime Minister, from Albo. And I said to Om last night, how did you get that? And he went, oh, I've known him for 15 years. He was my local MP. I just asked him to do it. And it took a couple of months, but yeah, that's the networking of Om. That could be a workshop, the networking of Om.
But that was very interesting, actually. I just add to that because I was jobless. I was looking for work, and I was just finished uni, and I've got a long story, but I sent 52 applications and had 52 rejections. It was very hard to get your professional, job that you're applying for. And in that, I thought, why not go out and do something? And we didn't have an amnesty group in Marrickville where I lived. So a couple of friends, we got together and we set up Amnesty International, Dulwich Marrickville chapter. And then, every other week we'll put up a stall and raise some funds for Amnesty, and, we'll invite the local, people who are Marrickville. And, of course, our local MP was Anthony Albanese and his wife, Carmen, who was then the education minister, state, education minister. And we would sort of pull them to the stall and ask them to buy T-shirts. And I used to have a lot of robust discussion with them, especially with Anthony, about the immigration policies and how we could settle refugees better in this country. And given we had some of those tough discussions, even after 15 years, he seems to remember. And he said, like when somebody approached him and said, "Oh, I'm happy to write a foreword," but it didn't come for the next 2.5 months, so we thought, okay, I'm sure his minders wouldn't allow him to write the foreword, but, one fine morning we got that, and it was very exciting, and he wrote a very, very personal note, and it made me cry. Thank you, Dean, for sharing that.
Where can people get your book?
It's very fortunately, it's available all over the country at every airport. And I was told that Jim said that it was available in Perth, it was available in Cairns. Somebody bought the book in Canberra, so it's available all over the country. It's available also online as well. So if you just look for Om Dhungel or Bhutan to Blacktown, you'll find it in different bookstores as well. And we've got a few books available. If you are quick enough, you might get a copy at the marketplace as well. So thank you.
Thank you. So thanks, Om. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank you. Wonderful.